Alright, Shalom. I like to start up by saying Ka Halayim La Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem Harikak Radash Ma'amah. Double honors to the elder apostles, a great millstone, my elder Heroine as well. Salutations to the Akim that are pushing the truth and sincerity and truth, and peace and blessings to the men, women, and children that believe in the name of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai. Alright, I'm Kanaksa Amban Yashar from the Lions of the Yashar camp. And this is another Lions Den News and Prophecy. And this article is on NATO's northernmost members are preparing for an undersea showdown with Russia. Alright. Lord willing, this lesson is edifying and serves its purpose for the hopeful elect, the ones that truly believe in the name of Yahweh by Shem Yahweh Shai. Alright. So now, understanding that NATO is the beast that's referenced to in Revelation chapter 13, and you know these they have been waging war with Russia ever since they were first created, you know, and that's the whole purpose of the war with Ukraine. It really doesn't have much to do with Ukraine itself. It's about the NATO's involvement of getting Ukraine to be a part of NATO. And if once that happens, that means Russia is fully surrounded by NATO allied by NATO members, right? And you know, NATO is the beast referencing in Revelation 13. I'm gonna get it real quick. I was gonna bring it out at the end, but it makes sense to bring it out right now. This is Revelation 13, and Revelation 13 and 4 says, and they worship the dragon, which is the European Union, right, which gave power unto the beast, and they worship the beast, saying, who is like unto the beast? Who was able to make war with him? Right? Well, that beast being NATO. Who is like unto the beast? NATO is the European Union's war machine, right? And their enforcer is America, United States. So who is able to make war with NATO, man? Because you get involved with any one of these NATO member countries, you got to deal with all of them. Right? But however, Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai is putting it up together, right? And rising up the spirit of the Medes, which is Russia, you know, to be the bear, to be equipped enough to go after this the beast, which is NATO. So now seeing this article, it says NATO's northernmost members are preparing for an undersea showdown with Russia. So this is probably talking about submarines. I haven't had a chance to go in depth in the article yet. But you know, here we go. It says Russia's ground forces have suffered significant losses in Ukraine, but its air force and naval forces are largely intact, and the warships assigned to Russia's northern and Baltic fleets could still pose a challenge to NATO. Right? Nobody really wanted to, you know, come up against NATO because there's so many member countries and so much you have to deal with, including America, you know. But for this article to say that, you know, Russia's a challenge for NATO is pretty substantial news, because that's all prophecy in the Bible. Because what the Lord is going to do, he's going to bring back the old Soviet Union, right, and bring them back together, and accompanying with other nations alongside it, fully equipped, according to Ezekiel 38. You know, it says a particular concern for the alliance is Russia's submarines, many of which are assigned to those two fleets. That undersea force has not been affected by the war in Ukraine. General Christopher Cavalloi, head of U.S. European Command, the Supreme Allied Commander of Europe told U.S. lawmakers in April. NATO navies have been spending more time working on anti-submarine warfare in response to that threat. For the militaries in the Nordic region, which includes NATO's new member and what will be the next country to join, the concerns have prompted renewed interest in expanding their own undersea fleet. So this is talking about, submarines. You know, for a while they had a submarine somewhere off the coast of Cuba also. It says Russia's northern fleet, based on the Kola Peninsula near Finland, is one of Russia's most formidable. It oversees nearly 30 combat submarines, some equipped with nuclear ballistic missiles, and 40 warships. In a conflict, the fleet would try to control the surrounding seas and disrupt NATO supply routes in the North Atlantic. The Baltic Fleet, headquarters in Russia's exclave of Kaliningrad, is the smallest of Russia's fleets, with about 40 warships and 1 submarine. But Russia is reportedly planning to increase the fleet's submarine force, adding to its ability to attack and disrupt maritime infrastructure and activity in the Baltic Sea. The potential threat from Russia's undersea forces has prompted its neighbors to reevaluate their own submarine needs. Sweden may soon join NATO, expanding alliance territory to nearly the extent of the Baltic Sea coast, and bring with it a military designed with fighting Russia in mind. See, that's what that's what NATO's been doing, man. NATO was put together to keep Russia, like countries like Russia and China and North Korea, at bay. Because they want to keep America as the so-called top dog. But what's happening right now, America is losing its hegemony in the earth, from a military standpoint and from an economic standpoint. So pretty soon, America will not be able to flex its muscles, because he ain't gonna have no muscles to flex, man. Everybody's calling the United States bluff. It says the Swedish Navy operates 3 Gotland-class diesel-electric subs, considered among the world's best conventionally powered subs, and an older submarine Marlin class vessel that is to be placed in 2027 when the first of 2 A-27 Belkin class submarines arrive. So 2027, man, all this stuff probably be towed up. It says Gotland class subs are known to be hard to detect. They use an air independent propulsion system that allows them to stay submerged for weeks, unlike their conventionally powered subs that have to surface every few days to recharge their batteries. In a 2004 exercise, a Gotland-class sub avoided detection multiple times and sunk the aircraft carrier USS Nimitz in a simulated attack. The A-27 Blekinge class subs that will join Sweden's fleet in 2027 and 2028 are specially designed to attack and protect vital underwater infrastructures, which NATO see as facing a growing threat from Russia. By deploying remotely operated vehicles and combat divers, Sweden's admission to NATO and the delivery of the Blekinge class will bring the number of subs operated by the Alliance Baltic members to 12. And if I'm not mistaken, I think Russia's submarines are nuclear powered. so they can stay underwater longer. I'm not officially sure. It says, all right, it says Sweden's submarines are even more farsome in Baltic Sea, which is only about 190 feet deep on average. Nuclear-powered subs cannot operate effectively in those depths, making Sweden subs the top predators there. Yeah, so Russia's submarines are nuclear-powered. The many rivers that flow into the Baltic also means its salinity varies, which affects buoyancy and the way subs move through the water. Conditions that challenge submarines operation, but with Sweden's has decades of experience. Swedish knowledge of the region fills a gap and provides expertise that NATO doesn't have. Swedish submarines flotilla commander Fredrik Linden told Reuters. It says Sweden's eastern neighbor Finland has officially joined NATO, but it has no submarines and has not announced plans to acquire any. But Sweden's western neighbors Norway and Denmark both see a need for bigger sub fleets. Denmark decommissioned its last sub in 2004, but is now considering getting submarines again, according to Michael Arestrup Jensen, the Danish Parliament's Foreign Policy Committee chair. It says, should we buy new submarines, or should we perhaps get a closer cooperation with some of our friends that have submarines? Arestrup Jensen said at a Hudson Institute event in June 12th. That is some of the discussions right now, because if you try to get a complete overview of everything, we will not be perfect in any field. So perhaps we could be perfect in some fields, and then our Swedish friends can be perfect in other fields, and so on. All right, so basically they're saying cover all the gaps that they can cover, and then bring somebody else in that can cover the flanks or cover the gaps that they're not able to fill. It says Norway operates 6 Ula-class submarines that have been in service for 30 years. Oslo is pursuing upgrades for its Ula-class boats that will extend their service lives, but it also plans to replace them with 4 German-built U-212CD subs, which are scheduled to arrive between 2029 and 2035. See, they keep saying all these dates, but the way things are going now, man, it's a lot can happen in 6 years, especially with the way things are moving. There's another lesson I got to do about the United States are sending heavy military activity and warships and planes over there to the Middle East because of Iran's behavior over the last couple of days. It says the U-212CD is the most modern version of the highly regarded U-212 family of subs. They are designed for covert operations in shallow waters. They will be stealthy and use air-independent propulsion to stay underwater for weeks. Maritime security is a growing concern for Norway amid heightening tensions with Russia and the increasing accessibility of the Arctic. In response to those challenges, Norway's military needs to improve its ability to operate in the region, support its allies there, and counter activities by adversaries, according to General Erik Kristofferson, the country's chief of defense. All right. It says submarines are vital to that effort, Kristofferson said in a recent report, outlining recommendations for Norway's security, which called for the country's naval forces to retain a core centered around frigates and submarines to ensure both a denial capability and the capacity to inflict losses on any adversary. And the main adversary they're talking about is Russia, man. Christopherson recommended that Norway increase its submarine fleet from 4 vessels to 6, arguing that increase takes higher priority than an increase from 4 to 6 frigates, but without specifying the makeup of that expanded fleet. Submarines are difficult to detect in submerged state, and in the short of and medium term, no technology has been identified that will challenge this, Christopherson said in the report. This strengthening will increase the armed forces' ability to deny any adversary freedom of operation and increase the ability to combat any adversary maritime force. All right. So basically, it seems right now that Russia has is the top dog when it comes to operating of submarines, but in that critical water over there in that area, they see a breach, or they see a weakness in Russia by not being able to operate with the nuclear powered subs in that shallow of a water, you know. But who knows? But the Lord said He's going to equip Russia with everything that they need, you know, to come at the beast, to come at America, you know, because going back to Revelation 13, it says let's start at verse 2. It says, and the beast I saw was like unto a leopard, right? That was the beginning of this whole system, which started with Alexander, the Greeks. And his feet were like as the feet of a bear, right? And the feet represents the end of a thing, okay? And his mouth as the mouth of lion, so that bear represents Russia, all right? And his mouth is the mouth of a lion, that's Britain. And the dragon gave him his power and his seat and great authority. So the European Union is funding the money for all this. And it's basically the beast is set up to really, like I said before, keep Russia, North Korea, China, and countries like Iran at bay, allowing the United States to flex their muscles and be the bully and be the hammer of the earth. And the European Union, the upper elites, are the ones that's swinging that hammer. But Yahweh Shem Yahushai is the one that's mustering up the host of the battle, that's putting everything in place, right? Putting everything in place to bring out all out destruction on America. All right. This is all right. This is Revelation 20 and 8. It says, start at verse 7. It says, and when 1,000 years are expired, Satan shall be loosed out of his prison. Right. So this is when these devils came back out of the pits, right, and started deceiving the whole earth. All right. It says, and when 1,000 years are expired, Satan shall be loosed out of his prison, and shall go out to deceive the nations which are in the four corners of the earth, Gog and Magog, to gather them together to battle, the number of whom is as the sand of the sea, man. So that Gog and Magog is representing Russia. All right. So this is Yahweh Shem Yahushai putting all this together, right? Bring all these nations together for war, man. Let me get one more scripture. All right, this is Joel chapter 3 verse 2. Verse 10, it says, beat your plowshares into swords and your pruning hooks into spears. Let the weak say, I am strong. Right? Matter of fact, start at verse 9. Proclaim ye this among the Gentiles. Prepare war. Wake up the mighty men. Let all the men of war come draw near. Let them come up. So this is Yahweh Shem Yahushai stirring everything up. Right? It says, beat your plowshares into swords and your pruning hooks into spears. Let the weak say, I am strong. So it's no longer about agriculture as it once was. Like the Industrial Revolutions, everybody working for gain for agriculture and for the economy. But now everybody's working for gain to buy military weapons, as stated in this article right there. How about Shem Yahushua putting everything in everybody's mind to go to war, man? So nobody's really worried about economical gain per se, but they're mostly focused on stockpiling military weapons and advancing and upgrading everything as a defense, or maybe not even necessarily being defensive, but to more so offensive, being able to oppose their will or be aggressive whatever they need to, and also be defensive. All right, this is verse 11. It says, assemble yourselves and come all ye heathen, and gather yourselves round about thither. Cause thy mighty ones to come down, O Yahweh. Right. So, you know, through these wars that's mustering up, Yahweh Shem Yahushua is going to bring judgment on the whole earth, man. You know, so these, like the scripture says, you shall hear of wars and rumors of wars. You know, these things must happen for the end to come. You know, like I said, there's another lesson I want to do after this one that's involving an article talking about United States sending a lot of military personnel over to the Middle East for the activity that's been going on the past few days dealing with Iran. All right, Lord willing, this lesson will edify and serve His purpose. With that, I'd like to say, Kal Halayim La Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem Harikak Wadash Ma'amath. Double honors to the elder apostles, the great millstone, and my elder Heroin as well. Salutations to the argument that are pushing the truth to sincerity and truth. And peace and blessing to the men, women, and children that believe in the name of Yahweh Shem Yahushua. Shalom.